Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know it's been 2.5 years since my last video, but we are back with something slightly different, but also kind of the same. Today we are going to be going through this liquidation pallet that I bought for $580 and seeing if I can make some money. Now I also paid $60 in order to rent a van in order to get back to my house, so we're into this for about $640. There are two main reasons that I bought this pallet. Number one, as you can see, these items are bigger, so I am planning on selling it on Marketplace to avoid fees and to avoid shipping. The second reason I bought this pallet is because of one item over here that is worth $300 brand new, and there was 4 of them on the pallet, so I figured I could make back most of my money off of those items. Now let's go through and see what we have. First up, we have these stainless steel chafing dishes, and we have multiple of them. So we have a second one over here, and then we have a third with gold accents. So this one actually feels lighter than the other ones. So I'm going to open this one up real quick and check it out. There's an onion peel in here, but everything does look like it is sealed. Looks like everything is still in the box, so I think this is still brand new. So it looks like the reason this one is lighter is because it is a different model, and it's a 4-piece, whereas this is a separate model and has 2 pieces. So I'll have to look these up and see what they're worth. Next up, we have this big box with an office chair. Now, I don't see any model or anything that I could use to look it up, and it looks like it's been resealed, so I'm going to open it up to make sure everything is brand new. So this has definitely been repackaged, so I'm probably going to have to take this apart, maybe put it together before I sell it, and make sure all the parts are there. I do have a user manual, so I can look up the model here and see how much it's worth, but most likely I'll have to put it together in order to sell it. Next up, we have another chair, but this one is a gaming chair, and this one looks like it's still brand new and sealed in the box. The only thing is it's hard to tell what the model is or the manufacturer, so it's going to be hard to look it up, so I might have to open it and look at the manual, just like I did for the last one. So I'll have to look more into this and see what chair it is. So now that I'm looking at it, I'm also noticing on the headrest it says Hofree, so that's probably the brand, plus it has massages, speakers, LED lights, and a footrest. So this looks like a pretty sweet chair. So I'm really curious how much it's going to be worth. Next up, we have this Croac foam boat deck pad, which based on the picture, it looks like this is like a rug for boats. It's 94 by 23 inches. So I'll have to look it up and see how much it's worth. Next up, we got a first mystery box. It's pretty light, so I don't expect there to be much in here, but we'll check it out. So the packaging just says Zanzia, high quality street fashion. So most likely these are going to be shirts. I'll have to look them up and see if I could find more information about it. I do see there's a tag right here on the product, so it looks like these are still brand new in case we want to resell them. Next up, we got another mystery box. This one's a lot heavier than the last one, and it looks like it's 2 boxes taped together. So I am curious what is in here. Looks like it's a 2-pack. So it looks like it has instructions, and it looks like it's almost like an end table. So it looks like a little piece of furniture. Looks like this was printed using Word, so it doesn't have a model or anything on here. And it looks like since there's 2 boxes, it's most likely going to be 2 of the same thing. So I'll have to see if I can find it. So most likely I'll assemble these, put them together, and then I could take pictures of them for Facebook Marketplace, and then I could sell them together. Next up, we got Pet Empo, a pet grooming vacuum, which this looks like it was definitely resealed. So let's open it up. Still got the manual. A lot of the pieces are still in the box. The one thing I do notice is it looks like the inside of this canister is a bit dusty, and there's definitely dog fur in there. So this is definitely a used product. So I'll have to see what it's worth, see if it's worth taking out, testing it, and selling it. Next up, we got a diesel car parking heater, which looks like it will heat your car if you're living in your RV. This one sounds like it was repackaged, so like usual, let's open it up. There's a whole box of parts here. It definitely smells like it's been used, so I'll have to probably inspect this even more. See what kind of condition it's in, see if it'll run, and see if I could sell it. We actually have 2 of these. This one does look more sealed. You don't hear anything rattling around, so this one might actually be new in box. Next up is the reason I actually bought this pallet, which you can see here. It's an electric cigar humidor. So it's almost like a wine fridge for cigars, I'm assuming. And there's 4 of these. This is one of the smaller ones, but I have 2 over here that are 48 liter size. And I was looking those up while I was at the warehouse. And those, as I said, are $300 brand new. So depending on the condition, that could be a pretty solid return. This one here, if I flip it around, you can see this one's a bit greasy. So I'll probably have to go through these, pull them out, maybe turn them on, test them, see if they work. But if they do work, if they're possibly, some of these are in new condition, this could be a great item to resell. Next, we have these armless office desk chairs. So I have another 6 of them over there that I saw when I was pulling this pallet in my house. And some of them have wheels, some of them don't have wheels. There's mostly beige ones, but there's one gray one. I couldn't find a model or a brand on the box, but I was looking up similar ones, and they go for around $50 brand new. So with 7 of them, that's a decent amount of money. So hopefully that'll help pay for this pallet. Another mystery box. More clothes. Same brand. I don't see the tag on this one, so this one might not be brand new. This might be just going in the trash. Next up is another mystery box. Just gives you a random SKU number. It's pretty heavy, and all it says is it's black, so I'm going to assume based on the weight and the fact that it's black that it's going to be a piece of furniture. I also see styrofoam in here, which is usually what's packed with furniture, so let's open it up. So we got a nightstand. This doesn't have a brand or anything on it, so most likely it's going to be a generic piece of furniture. Probably will build this and put it together to sell on Marketplace. That way I could see if any of the pieces are broken, make sure everything's there. But hopefully it's worth a couple dollars. So over here are the 2 more expensive cigar humidors. You have 1, 2. These ones hopefully are brand new in the box, or if they were returned, they weren't damaged, that they just didn't want them anymore. Next to that, we have 6 more of those chairs that I showed you earlier. Next to that, we have another one of these, but a smaller version like the first one I showed you. Then we have 5 more items. We have this Komami safety gate, which it's still sealed in plastic in the box, but the box is a little torn up. So I think this should be relatively easy to sell on Facebook Marketplace. Next up, we have a very generic brown box. Sounds like it has metal in it, so I'm going to have to open it up to see what's inside. Hopefully it is not a broken mirror. It most likely goes to another piece of furniture, and this is just one piece of it, so this is probably useless. Unless it's in one of the other boxes I have, but we'll have to find out. But most likely it's just going to go in the trash. Next up, we have 2 of these dog kennels, and these look like they're probably brand new in the box, which is pretty good. The boxes are pretty beat up, so I might open it up just to inspect it real quick before I sell it. But these should be pretty good to sell at Marketplace. So the last item we have is a very heavy box. You can see it weighs over 60 pounds. All it says is black walnut for the color. Again, just random numbers for the model. So most likely I'm going to have to open this up, find a book. 90% chance this is going to be a piece of furniture. But let's see what it looks like. So this is definitely a piece of furniture. And it looks like it's actually a pretty nice piece of furniture. But the problem is I don't see a book in here, so I have to figure out what it is and decide whether I want to put it together or whether I want to sell it like this. because this actually looks like it's still in great shape. It looks brand new. So I don't know if it's worth putting together or if it's better to sell it as is. But first I have to figure out what type of furniture it is. I spoke too soon. I found the booklet. Let's see. Wow. It is a whole TV stand, actually. This actually looks like the same style book from the bedside table. So I'm wondering maybe the same person bought it. But this does look brand new. So I'll have to try and do an image search to see if I can find this TV stand. This might be worth a decent amount of money. It's been 2 weeks since I bought that pallet, filmed this video, and I'm finishing up editing. But within the first week of listing those items, I actually broke even and made my money back. So I want to go over those initial sales and go over some of my initial thoughts on this pallet. In no particular order, one of the first things I sold was this gaming chair, which was brand new. So I was able to sell that for $125 on Facebook Marketplace. The second thing I sold, which I sold immediately after the gaming chair, was the dog kennel, which was an interesting sale because I listed it for $75. The guy showed up with only a $100 bill and I only had a $10 bill, so I ended up selling it for $90, which I will take. The third thing I sold was a cigar humidor, which I actually sold on eBay. Now with this one, I listed it for $175. I took a $150 offer. I had shipping to pay for, and then I had eBay fees to pay for. So after all that, I was at $99.17. But then the buyer came back to me later. Apparently I didn't inspect it well enough when I listed it, and it did have some cosmetic damage. So I did offer him a $35 credit because that was cheaper than having it shipped back to me and having to relist it. So after that credit, I actually ended up with $69.25. The fourth thing I sold was one of these chairs, which I ended up selling for $60. The next thing I sold was another cigar humidor, and this thing was both listed on eBay and Facebook Marketplace. I ended up taking an $80 offer on Facebook Marketplace because I was considering the cost of shipping it to the buyer plus the eBay fees. This offer was more than enough to make up for that. Now the thing with these cigar humidors was there's 4 of them like I mentioned earlier. The 2 bigger ones were worth the most money. However, the thing with these is one of the bigger ones ended up being a classic Amazon return scam where the buyer bought a brand new unit and then returned their old unit. It had no accessories. It was a completely different brand. So that way I'm not going to get nearly as much money as I hoped for. This one as well that I took the $80 offer on had most of the accessories with it, but it did have cosmetic damage. There was a bent casing. The next thing I sold was this office chair, which as you saw when I opened it was clearly a used return. So I did end up assembling it, putting it together to be able to take pictures to list on Facebook Marketplace. Now this one is in pretty good condition, except it had little paint or marker markings on the front of it, which I notated in the listing, but I was still able to get $100 for it on Facebook Marketplace. The last 2 things I was able to sell were more of these office chairs, which I ended up selling for $50 a piece. With just these 8 initial items, I was able to almost break even on the pallet. Initially, without that $35 credit that I was mentioning on that one cigar humidor, I was actually at $654, which was a profit of about $15. And then I had to pay back that $35 for the credit. So now I'm at about $625. So I'm only about $15 off of breaking even. However, I still do have plenty of items left to sell. I have this TV stand behind me, which I should hopefully get about $150 for. I do have 4 more of those armless office chairs, which are about $50 a piece. I also have that baby gate, which is probably another $50. I have 2 more cigar humidors, which hopefully I should get $100 for after all fees and shipping. So I'm still looking at a potential of almost $600 in profit. That doesn't include the smaller things like the chafing dishes and the boat decking that I have that I will eventually sell on eBay. So it's a pretty solid pallet for my first time buying one. And because I already broke even, I decided actually I'm going to buy a second pallet this upcoming week. So if you want to see that pallet, make sure you subscribe.